In comes Marcy with a bandana over her head and a laundry basket. We find out that Marcy offered to help when the Bundys' washer broke, and I really don't feel bad for her, cause what the hell were you thinking, Marcy? But this is the setup for the whole episode. They need a new washer, and guess where they can get a new one? If your guess was an appliance store, then you're stupid.
You're calling me stupid, huh?
Of course it's the game show! Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of Married with Children. Now, if you're new to the show, or just don't remember how it works for some reason, I'm going to give you a little bit of an agenda. So first, we do the Potent Notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that we found out about the episode or series. Then I do the episode overview, which is where I just talk about what happens in the episode. And then I go to The Rank, where I rank the episode in 5 categories on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, all to find out what is the best sitcom of all time. We take sitcoms, we rank every single episode of that sitcom, and we take the average. That gives us the score for the ranking for the series in general. And obviously in this case we're doing Married with Children. Now if you enjoy these episodes, or you just like Married with Children and enjoy consuming content about it, please consider subscribing and or following. Like the episodes, comment. You can send us an email at info@therankpodcast.com. I will respond to you, questions, suggestions, whatever. Also, if you really do like it a lot, please consider becoming a patron on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast. Now today we're going to be ranking the 20th episode of the second season of Married with Children, titled Just Married with Children, written by Ellen L. Fogel and directed by Linda Day. Now for the sitcoms that have already been out for a long time, there's going to be spoilers. That's your spoiler alert, spoilers. So let's get started on this, starting with the Potent Notables.
Potent Notables.
This episode aired on Sunday, March 6, 1988. Married with Children took a much bigger dip in the ratings than we've been seeing recently, going from a 5.3 to a 4.6. It wasn't actually the second best show of the night for Fox, like it has been, because of course 21 Jump Street is the number one. Because there was a brand new show on after Married with Children tonight called It's Gary Shandling's Show, which I had never heard of. It got a 5.2 and it definitely made me curious about it. I looked it up and it was on 4 years and had 72 episodes, and this was the description. Gary Shandling pokes fun at sitcom conventions and his own unique fourth wall breaking meta sitcom. That sounds pretty fun. Anyway, back to the ratings. It was beat by some new show on ABC called Super Carrier. It also lost to Day by Day on NBC, and of course, a rerun of Murder, She Wrote, which amazingly won the time slot and almost the night. The only thing that did better was its lead-in, 60 Minutes. The rerun of Murder, She Wrote had an 18.3 rating, for those wondering, and 60 Minutes had a 21. So for our second and final Potent Notable, we have some Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy Potent Notables to round things out. It's all about the Squabs. Jeff Pearson, who played Roland Squab, would go on to play a role similar to Al Bundy in the Married with Children knockoff Unhappily Ever After, which was created by Ron Levitt, one of the creators of this show. And Mona Squab, who was played by Catherine Russoff, was and still is Ed O'Neill's actual spouse. They've been married since 1986, so it'll be 40 years next year. Just thought that was pretty awesome. So that's it. Those are the Potent Notables. Let's go to the episode overview. We open the episode with some very typical Bundy antics. What's for breakfast? Nothing. We had that yesterday. You know, stuff like that. It continues into them going through other people's mail that got delivered to them by accident, which is basically just Stephen Marcy's mail. Naturally, they don't give the mail to Stephen Marcy. They just decide what they're going to keep or throw away, basically. One of these things is an application invitation for the game show, How Much Do I Love You? And you'll be surprised to hear, but this will come into play eventually. Now, the kids are going to enter the picture, one of only 2 scenes they're in, and they're going to talk about how great it is that their clothes are actually clean. The show actually got me because I was actively wondering, how did Peggy pull this off? Like, there's no way she's actually doing laundry, and sure enough, in comes Marcy with a bandana over her head and a laundry basket. We find out that Marcy offered to help when the Bundys' washer broke, and I really don't feel bad for her, cause what the hell were you thinking, Marcy? But this is the setup for the whole episode. They need a new washer, and guess where they can get a new one? If your guess was an appliance store, then you're stupid.
You're calling me stupid, huh?
Of course it's the game show! So they fill out the application as Stephen Marcy with the hopes that one of the prizes will be a washer. Of course, as luck would have it, one of the prizes is a washer-dryer set. Also, as luck would have it, they get selected to be on the show. The premise of this game show? How much are you willing to torture your new spouse? A game show that is uniquely suited to Al and Peggy. Now, as cliche as this all sounds, it was really funny. Everything with Al and Peggy absolutely worked for me, so it's the Rhodes, really the Bundys, versus the Squabs, and they love each other so much that they can't bring themselves to do any potential harm to one another. Al and Peggy do not have this compunction. Al spins Peggy crazy fast on a wheel, which was hilarious. Peggy has a bunch of large women sit on Al, which I didn't enjoy as much, but then they show the after effects of him having been stung by a bunch of bees, which was great and really well done by Ed O'Neill. So they win all the prizes, including the washer and dryer, but there's one last segment. They can either risk it all and go for a new car along with everything else, or they can just leave with what they've already won. And it's all up to Peggy. What will she choose? Naturally, she's going to choose to go for the car, which is a Mustang convertible, by the way. But what's this? They're going to have to go against an older married couple from the audience, the Bundys. This is when we find out that Steve and Marcy have gone to the audience and pretended to be Al and Peggy, and that the kids sold out their parents for a square meal, which again, this is not good. You know, you gotta feed your kids. Their kids should be eating. You'd think this would be set up for the actual Bundys to lose, but this game is too perfect for them. Even the writers knew there was no way they could have them lose, and they didn't. How'd they win? Steve and Al were strapped to electric chairs, and Peggy showed no mercy. After they come home, we get a typical joke about being electrocuted with Al's hair standing up straight. It's such an obvious joke, but it absolutely worked on me. It had me cracking up. But that's the whole episode. It actually worked out for the Bundys at the end, a rare episode where that happens. Will it work out well for them in the rank? Let's find out.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud, 1 point per laugh out loud, and that gets added to the score. Now, before I get started, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a like. It really does help the show grow and helps me out a lot. So the first category is story, which I gave a 5. I actually really like this story a lot. This is another common story in the sitcom world, but this is one that's pretty hard to screw up. Getting your characters onto a game show pretty much always works, and it does here as well. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 4. Everyone is really good and funny. Bink got on my nerves a little bit, but I don't think he was bad necessarily. Ed O'Neill playing beat up is just great. Katie playing Dizzy was a lot of fun too. It was a fun episode. So let's go to dialogue, which I also gave a 4. It got me a pretty decent amount of times, and I enjoyed the episode. Sometimes it felt a little lazy. I think when I was younger, I would have enjoyed the fat jokes more, especially when I wasn't fat. So maybe I'm biased, I don't know.
I think we all know.
Part of me definitely felt like these poor women are just on here being called fat. Just seemed kind of sad. Also, Zelda being vapid and disease-ridden felt a little too on brand for this show. The vapid I enjoyed more than the disease-riddled though. Still though, it made me laugh a decent amount, so that has to count for something. So let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 4. This is a hard category because nothing in here necessarily screams incoherent or even odd from a character standpoint, but there just isn't much to this. Ultimately, I decided not to reward it for being sort of devoid of anything requiring coherence, but I also decided not to penalize it for that too. So there you go, a 4. So let's go to character relatability, which I gave a 3. It's not entirely unrelatable. Like, I enjoy the premise that longer married couples might be more willing to see their spouses in pain for longer. I've been with mine for a long time, and I probably would know her pain points better now and be more okay with it for longer now than we were when we were first together, but I still wouldn't like it. I would imagine it's the same for her, but who knows? Maybe she'd like to see me in pain more. It's not super relatable though, basically. The more relatable part is Marcy and Steve being annoyed about their identity essentially being stolen and missing out on their chance to win a new car. So let's go to the laugh counter, and this got me 18 times, which is a lot. This puts the episode total at a 38, which makes it a holy grail. Now for the series, the average is now at a 33.1, which keeps the series as I'd watch it again. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. And once again, I just want to remind you, if you're really enjoying the episode, please leave a like. It does really help us out. But I'll leave you with this. Al thought going on a game show with Peg would be torture. It was right. So let's go to acting, which I gave a 4. Everyone is really good. Ugh. So let's go to acting, which I give So let's go to acting, which I gave a 4. Everyone is good and funny. So let's go to acting, which I gave a
9th time's the charm.